contributes more than $24 billion to the Arkansas economy each year. Operating loss. Arkansas News Service. Trust indicators. Public News Service.org.
Hey, everybody, it's Larry Beach. Let's talk about it on Monday. Facebook. Our special guest will be none other than Mr. Nasheed Ashwood. He is the author and publisher of the book Kids in Business. You don't want to miss all the great information and encouraging information he's sharing to give you and some others about how kids can go into business on their own. That's Monday, May 4th, right here at 9 a.m. on KABF 43 on the voice of the people.
Pediatric allergies and parallels. If your child has asthma, let's take a breath together and talk. If your child needs to use quick inhaler more than twice a week to treat asthma, and your child repeatedly awakened at night in asthma, if you said yes to either of these questions, it's time to talk to an allergy and asthma specialist like me to help you control your child's asthma. If you feel your child's asthma is not under control, go to controlyourasthma.org.
And just now, but you were the only lost time. And to bring that you away. Now I feel the fire of that you come my way. Right you there, I want it. So be forever. I want it. To get that station, but just like a baby, I try to good now. And I think of just to like it right now. If we ever something,
Yes, we coming in hot this morning, right here at KBF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. You are listening to Community Voices with your host, the Reverend Doctor. You can call me Denise. I'm rolling solo this morning, so it's just me and you. It's just me and y'all. It's just us this morning, and I'm not mad about it. You all, I'm sure Tony will tell us when he gets back where he's been and what he's been doing. But for right now, it's all about us. And I want to take a moment to greet you in that spirit of Sawubona, that spirit of oneness that binds us together by our humanity. There is absolutely nothing we can do about the fact that we are bound together inextricably. You cannot get me out of your system because we are together as humans. But how we interact with each other, human to human, that's what we want to talk about all the time here at Community Voices. And we also center Blackness in the context of the human story. So every human has a part in this conversation where we make sure that we focus on those people who are called Black, members of the diaspora, diasporians, people of color, Black folks, Negroes. I'm trying to think of all the names we use that we should use. Yeah, and I also want to make sure that you know how grateful we are for your presence in this space. Community KABF 88.3 FM is on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and many of you never touch that dial. You put it on KABF and you leave it there. We appreciate all of the ways that you support us, every single way. I don't know all of the ways. I cannot name all of the ways, but every way that you support us, we are grateful for that because we would not be alive here on this station were it not for you. And that's just real talk. That is just real talk. And I want to make sure that you know how much we appreciate you. Hotep is already on the line this morning, wishing us life, prosperity, and health. Oh, that reminds me. So last week on the show, I said we were going to try something because there are different aspects of the listening culture that are kind of battling right now. Some about how the voices, how community voices engages community voices. So the people who call in, we've been having conversation about that. And so last week I said, hey, I'm going to hold the phone lines until such and such a time, 9:30, 9:35, and then they will be open for you to call in. That did not work. And I told you I'm a trial and error person. I try something. If it doesn't work, we try something else. That did not work because I realized just as I was walking out of the door to get in my car that for the people who were commenting online, I was reading their comments in real time. But the phone was on hold. And I'm like, oh, so that means that those people who were trying to, that would have loved to have said something, you weren't able to because the phones were on hold. And so I don't think that that's fair. And so I'm not going to do that. So I'm not holding the phone lines. The phone lines are already open at 501-433-0088. The phone lines are already open at 501-433-0088. But what I did do was say, I'm a time it. 2 minutes. We're gonna give everybody 2 minutes. And so when your 2 minutes is up, I will let you know, and I will just hang up the phone and say, okay, caller, thank you so much for calling in, or something to that effect. And so that's what we're gonna try today. And if that doesn't work, then we'll try something else. Like I said, I am a trial and error person. It does not matter to me how. We just got to figure it out. We just got to figure it out, and we will. We will. And so Lo says, just because I am pro-Black does not mean that I am anti-white. Just because I am pro-Black does not mean I am anti-white. This world has conditioned us to play this zero-sum game. So if you get something, then that means I don't get it. And so I don't want you to get it because now I'm going to do without. And that makes me feel some kind of way. I don't want you to have more than me. I don't want you to have better than me. And it's this constant comparison of each other's lives and materials and all of those resources that we have. And the truth of the matter is that this country has more than enough for all of us. The only reason we lack is because the country makes it so. There's no reason that we should have lack in any area of our lives. And so we've got to lift ourselves up out of that mentality that even people who want to, some people withhold compliments. I don't want to withhold, I don't want to tell you how pretty you are, because then somebody might think I'm not as pretty. Like, we have that we carry that in so many different spaces in our lives. And so this zero sum game, we cannot afford to continue to play, because it's just not true. And what we do is we end up victimizing each other rather than holding the system accountable. That's what generally happens. And so Low calls it classism. It could be classism, it could be racism, it could be genderism, um, it could be heterosexism. It could be all of the isms and all of the phobias. We do it in all of those places because this world has a stronghold on so many of our minds, and we've got to work to set ourselves free. Steffi and I were just talking about this morning, that this morning before I came on, and she was, during the passing of the torch. That's what I call it, the passing of the torch. We were talking about the need for us to be able to have the necessary conversations that will affect change in all of us, in our lives and in the lives of the people that we're talking to. And she was teaching me something that she learned about how to notice the little changes that we all make, even if it's just in yourself. Like, you pay attention to your patterns, the patterns that you follow in your life, be able to name them so that you can recognize them. And then if you decide you want to work on them, once you begin to make even just baby steps, the baby steps are not baby, they are huge. So notice even the small changes that you make. And then we can continue to have conversation that helps us grow, because we're not looking at the person saying, you ain't changed, you still talking about the same thing. No, I'm not still talking about the same thing in the same way. I might still be talking about the same thing, but not in the same way. And that deserves our attention. And so we have to get to the point where we can have real conversations with real people about real issues. Because I know we're talking to each other, but what are we talking about? Some of the stuff we talking about is just shenanigans, and we need to come up with something else. And that's part of the conversation. So we started the conversation out with Tevin Campbell singing "Can We Talk" for a minute. Evidently, he's in this space where he sees this woman. He's calling her a Roni, like a tenderoni. Where'd it come from? I can't. Was it Bobby Brown tenderoni? I remember that name, but I don't remember where it came from. And so he wants to step to this woman. He sees her. He's intrigued by her. He's attracted to her. She has garnered his attention. She's like just being herself. And he's like, oh my goodness, I want to talk to her. And so he's trying to get himself together to get over there to talk to her. He doesn't want to just show up and be like, what's your name? What your name is? I say that to people, what your name is? He doesn't want to do that. He wants to be clever. He wants to have some kind of agenda that will lead them to the place where he wants to go, where he's getting her phone number, and maybe she asks for his in return, and they begin to have this conversation and they get into a relationship. Like, he's got all of this stuff going on in his head about how he wants to get with this woman, but he cannot talk and he cannot move because he's too shy, because he's afraid of rejection, because of whatever it is, he cannot move. And so what he says is, next time I see you, I'm going to know exactly what to do. The next time I see you, I'm going to know how to approach you. The next time. But the question is, for me, what if there is no next time? What if this was the only opportunity that you had to be a gift to this woman, because you're going to tell your story? But if we thought about each other as gifts that have stories to tell, stories that can impact our lives in who knows how many ways, stories that can affect change, not just in us, but in the world that we live in, stories that can give us a new perspective about things, stories that can help us see ourselves better, so that we can begin to say, wait a minute, I need to work on that. Or let me pat myself on the back because I have grown. Like, if we see each other as gifts, then we would not want to withhold that, because I don't know anybody who prepares a gift for somebody and then when they see them say, oh no, I ain't gonna give them this gift. Like, You got the gift for them. You took the time, like me. I'm gonna wrap it up in comic paper because that's what we used to do when I was little. We didn't have wrap. We didn't go to the store and buy wrapping paper. And I don't even think it's about whether or not we could afford it. Like that's just not what we did. We used the comic paper to wrap gifts, and so I still do that to this day. And so I'm not gonna wrap this. First of all, I gotta find me. I gotta find the paper because I don't get the paper, so I got to go buy paper, a Sunday paper. I usually go to the Kroger over here on Roosevelt, but you can also get them at Barnes and Noble. You know that because that's how I met Ashton, reading the paper at the bookstore. And so I would take the time, like I'm gonna make sure it's nice and neat, got clean lines. You're not gonna be able to see the tape. Like I do all of that. And then if I see you and say, oh no, I'm not gonna give him this gift. That's just not usually how we act. And so, if we consider ourselves gifts and the people that we are encountering, interacting with, the people that we find ourselves sharing space with as gifts, also, and we can sharpen each other's iron just by telling our stories, maybe then we wouldn't get so. Maybe then we wouldn't get so afraid. Maybe then we wouldn't get so shy. Maybe then we wouldn't be timid because we'll be like, no, 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 I have a great story to tell. And anybody that wants to listen, listen. Do you want to hear my story? Do you want to hear my story? I'll tell it. I don't mind telling it. I believe that that would make a difference because I want to lift that up out of the conversation about being in a romantic relationship and just apply the lens of social justice. So if we see each other and we realize that our lives, our lived experiences tell stories, you've got your story and I've got mine. For you to think that your story trumps mine, then we got a problem because everybody's story is just everybody's story. A lot of times when I'm facilitating courageous conversations with people who the world identifies as white, they don't want to tell their story because they'll be like, well, nah, I didn't go through what they went through. I don't want to compare. I don't want to seem like my life was better. And that's not what it's about at all. It's about we need to hear everybody's story because we are living this experience together on different paths, yes, but the experience of living and being human, that we can find some commonalities in that. So if we share our stories, then we can find that common ground that helps us have these courageous, critical, crucial conversations that we need to have rather than trying to keep everything on the frou-frou, keep everything superficial. And so I feel like so I want to talk about that. Oh, wait, don't let me forget the EJI tidbit. That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how we can center ourselves in each other's lives enough so that we are willing to tell the story. And I know that it's not easy because for me, I'm not going to just share my story with anybody. I have to know that you're going to handle my story with holy hands. I've got to know that you consider this space that we are sharing right now as sacred space. I want to make sure that I know that if you understood the principle of what it means to take off your shoes because you're standing on holy ground, then those are the people that I'm willing to share my innermost thoughts, like the stories, the parts of my story that continue to hurt, the parts of my story that I really want to do something with, that I really need help with, or whatever that is. And so, how can we get ourselves to that space where we see somebody, recognize them as a gift in our lives, and then open up the doors of our minds? I don't really want to say, I guess I should say our hearts, because we should be compassionate and we should be empathetic. But I really want it to be more of a minds conversation. I really want it to be, I want us to engage our mind. Let's think about this. Let's reason about this. Let's have some kind of rationale around how we handle each other. Like, so I'd really rather it not be so emotional. I know I can't control anybody's emotions. I just think sometimes when we lead with emotions, that gets us in trouble. So I feel like for me, and it just might be a me thing because I'm not a very emotional person. Like I am not. I'm a rational person. I'm a realist. Like I want to deal with what the real. Let's talk about what's really going on. So I don't know about the whole emotional piece, but I know some of you are emotional, and so I don't want to take that away from you. But how can we get beyond the surface when we're talking to each other? Oh, Keith Harper's on the line. What's up? Keith is gonna be here on Thursday. Are you coming, Keith? I know you're sending some of the. Keith was here on last week. Last Tuesday, he was here talking about Fences, his directorial debut that's happening right here on 1601 Louisiana Street at Quapaw Quarter, but in the basement of the church where they now have the Actors Theater. And there is a way that you can see the play for free. That is to sign up to volunteer. They need people to, let me see what I remember, to work the concession stand. They need ticket takers. I don't know. Those are the only two that I remember. Oh, they need ushers, people to show you where your seat is. And so you can, if you want that link, you can call me at 501, call into the office, and Charles will get to me and give you that link. 501-372-6119. That's the number to the office. And then my direct number is 228-236-7440, 228-236-7440. We can get you that link. But Troy, the actor who plays Troy, and the actress who's playing Rose are supposed to be on the show on Thursday. That's Tony's show for the workplace. So y'all stay tuned in. Like, I listen, now that I'm talking about, now that I got Tevin Campbell talking about, can we talk? That man that's playing Troy, I'm like, can we talk? He's doing an excellent job. So thanks for showing up for us today, Keith. So here's our EJI tidbit for today. On this day, April 27th. So this was the 27th, which would have been yesterday for us. A white Georgia mob lynches a man for talking too much about another lynching. On April 27th in 1899, a white mob in Lee County, Georgia, lynched a black man named Mitchell Daniel for talking too much about the brutal lynching of Sam Holes, another black man that had taken place days earlier. So the man who was lynched on April 27th is Mitchell Daniel, and he got lynched for talking too much. He had heard of, the word has spread about what they had done to Sam Holes, another black man who was charged with assaulting. They were saying he was attempting to assault two white women, and so they lynched him. And then Mitchell Daniel heard about it, and so he was talking about what he had heard about that happened to Sam Holes. And just because he was talking about it, the white folks felt like he was talking too much, and so they lynched him. And so when we have this conversation about, can we talk for a minute? How can we have conversations that go beyond the surface if there's any fear happening? Like if a person is afraid to tell you what's going on for fear. We talk about that a lot about our ancestors. And I've learned to stop saying my ancestors. All of a sudden, one day I just woke up, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up out my sleep and was like, stop saying my ancestors. All of the ancestors belong to all of us. They're all of our ancestors. So why are you trying to act like you got some, like the white people not part of the conversation, like the black people only part of the black people conversation? Like, no, it's all of us. These are all of our ancestors. And so when we have, when we think about the story, particularly the American story, and how we have used fear and intimidation, particularly around our siblings who are members of the diaspora, then yes, there's some in many cases back in the day, there's some level of fear. As a matter of fact, there may be some level of fear still happening even now. I am not a fearful person. And so I don't usually come at it from that angle. But when I think I told y'all this, like I've been in conversations with Black folks in public. And when we start talking about issues and the issue involves white people, like they'll whisper the word white, or they'll just mouth the word so that you can't even hear it come out of their mouths, or they'll point to their palm, the palm of their hand, as if this is white. And then they'll point to the other side of their hand if they're talking about Black folks. So they don't want to say white out loud in public. So there may be even some fear happening today that people do not want to be found talking about issues that really, really matter to all of us because there's some fear there. So how do we get rid of that fear? And I don't know the answer to that. Like, let me give you all the phone line. Phone lines are 501-433-0088. Maybe somebody else can call in and tell me, how do you get rid of the fear? Because like I said, I ain't never scared. My daddy taught us to fear no man save God. That's what he used to say. Fear no man save God. And so I grew up like this. So my family, like none of us, I got 2 older brothers. My mama wasn't even scared because she knew my daddy would protect her if she needed it. So I don't know what that feels like, but I do know that fear is a real thing. And I do know that there is a way to hold it captive. So you can have these feelings of fear. They can come up for you, but you can also grab hold of them and say, whoa, whoa, I'm going to arrest you right now. I see you. I feel you. I know that you are here, but I'm still going to push forward. I'm still going to say what I have to say. I'm still going to have this conversation. I'm still going to show up in the space because that is quite important. Oh, we got Mayor Lisa Hicks Gilbert on the line. Good morning, good people. That's what she said. The mayor, girl, you is doing it. If y'all want to see somebody who is boots on the ground, living out what everything she said she was gonna do, that's what she is in Elaine doing. I told her she inspires me so much. Thank you for showing up. Here's Lo. Lo says fear is used to discourage economic issues with that person or group and dilute or erase voting action. Fear is used to discourage economic issues with that person or group and to dilute or erase voting action. Yeah, I can see that fear is being used that way, but fear is also being used the way it was being used in 1899 to get you to shut your mouth. Like don't really talk about what the politicians are really doing. Let's not talk about what these wars are really about. Let's not talk about what's really happening with our environment and climate change. I wish you would talk about climate change and blah blah blah. And so it's being used on all of these issues on all of these fronts. And so the question becomes, how do we get like Mitchell Daniel and say, no, I'm gonna talk about it. It happened. It was an injustice, and I'm going to talk about it. And you say, well, Mitchell Daniel dead. Yes, he is. He died for what he believed in. I was preaching one Sunday. Somebody had asked me to sing, what's the song about CC One? Come Jesus Come. And I was going to sing about it, and it turned, I used it as the sermon. It was part of the sermon. And I was like, for CC Winans to be saying to us, come Jesus, come. Let today be the day. What she's saying is she wants the end of the world to happen. If Jesus comes, according to this theology that some people carry in the Christian church, the theology says when Jesus comes again, that's the world as we know it is over. Like it's time for judgment day, and we got to go and be sifted out like the wheat. The wheat gonna be on the left, and whoever gonna be on the right, and these people gonna go to heaven, and these people gonna go to hell. Like it's a whole theology around that. And I said when I was preaching, I was like, do you realize that there are so many of you out there praying for the rapture to come because you want to go to heaven, but you don't want to die? Now, how you gonna get to heaven if you don't die? Death is a prerequisite. It is the requirement. You got to die before you receive this reward that they are offering you, that they are dangling in front of you like a carrot. So you can't have it both ways. So Mitchell Daniel says, I'm going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but, and I'm not going to be scared of what happens to me because I realize and I recognize the importance of my voice. I don't realize and recognize the importance of me living to be 100 years old, but I'm living scared. Like, what kind of life is that? Now, please don't get me wrong. Our ancestors who were living through the era of terror with the lynching, I have no judgment to pass on them. I'm talking about us now. I'm not talking about them because I can't even begin to imagine what that's like. When every time I listen to Billie Holiday or Nina Simone, whoever it is that's singing Strange Fruit, I'm like, you walk out of your door and you can, there's no other, my understanding, there's no other stench like a decomposing body. That's my understanding. Once you have smelled it, the next time you smell, you're going to know exactly what it is because there's no other smell, odor, stench that has the same not only has the same olfactory impact on you with your sense of smell, but also like what it does to your body. And so they're talking about how you walk out the door of your house and you can smell it, and then you see somebody hanging. What? You see somebody that's been burned alive. You see somebody whose the members of their body have been dismembered because people are people have cast lots for them like they did with Jesus. Like somebody got the finger, somebody over here got a toe, somebody over here got the penis. Like I cannot even imagine. So I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us. And so my question becomes for us: what are we scared of? That's what I don't understand. And I'm not talking about, are you scared to lose your job? Oh my goodness, can we get beyond the jobs? But maybe that's a real fear for somebody, because if you lose your job, you lose your income, lose your income, you can't take care of your family, can't take care of your family. Yeah, I don't know. Like, start your own business. Like, that's possible. We just have so many other options that our ancestors didn't have, and we can use them. So Lo says, no earthly good trying to be heavenly bound. No earthly good. And I had a pastor that used to say it in the opposite direction. He would say, some of y'all so heavenly bound that you ain't no earthly good. His name was John C. Evans. That's when I was going to an African Methodist Episcopal Zion church, AMEZ church. When I was growing up, and I left the Baptist church and started going to that church. And that's what he would say. So it's the same thing. You so heavenly bound that you ain't no earthly good at all. And so Mitchell McDaniel, first of all, probably did not know. I don't know. He might have known. Like, I don't know what he knows, but he put his body on the line. And that's what we need to be courageous enough to do. How many of us are? That's the question. Caller, you're live on the air, KBF at 8.3. Thanks for calling Community Voices.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You and all your listeners. You know, I'm speaking for personal experience that I have had. And I was unexpected. Just how I was laying down relaxing. And all of a sudden, it's like I heard a voice say, come on, we're going to take you on a journey. And I went back through time, through slavery, back in the jungles of Africa, up in the old ages, down in the ocean, and I'm looking at structures and things. And then I tried to ask a question, but time just like it just speeded up real fast. And then I was just in a state of darkness, just vibrating. And after that, I don't remember nothing else. Now, I don't really know what happened during that time, but I've come to the conclusion that I am my own ancestor. Now, that's my experience. I wish somebody else would have it so they could tell me about it. Thank you.
Well, these are the stories that we're talking about, right? That you share a bit of your story with us, and then it makes us think. Because I remember a time when I was afraid of cemeteries. I grew up where it was like, if you point your finger at the cemetery, I think you're gonna lose it was gonna break off or something like that. So I was afraid. I was afraid to drive by. I would look the other way. I wouldn't point. I wouldn't do any of those things. And it wasn't until I went to the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, Alabama a few years ago that I realized just how ludicrous that feeling was. And the reason it was ludicrous is because it was bound up in some white inhumanity stuff, the system of whiteness. Because what the system of whiteness has done is it has treated every other religion from every other person, from Jews to Black folks to Cajun folks to all of those religions that we have, that we practice, then those are considered voodoo and black magic, and you're not supposed to, it's something wrong with it. But Christianity is pure and good, and we ought to do, everybody ought to be practicing Christianity. And so what happened was there are these cells that are in this hallway at the museum, and they're on each side. And as you walk up, you got to walk up to the cell. If you're just walking in the middle, nothing is going to happen. But if you walk up to the cell, all of a sudden, the spirit of the person who's about to talk to you begins to appear slowly, considering how close you walk, how close to the door. When you get all the way up to it, then the person is standing there. The spirit of the person is standing there in full. But if you're just walking a little bit, you just see a little bit. And so when I didn't know that. I did not know that. Nobody told me that. So I started walking up to the cell because I'm like, listen, I am a museum enthusiast. I want to read every word. I want to participate in every interaction. Like, I want to do it all. So I'm curious. Like, I want to go. What's going on in here? And when I saw that spirit come into life, I jumped. I'm talking about literally jumped back. It scared me. I'm like, it took me, I don't know how many minutes. I had to get myself together. I had to get myself together to decide that I was going to try again to walk up to this cell because I really wanted to hear the story of this spirit. But it took me, I'm telling you, I had to go sit down. I had to catch my breath. I had to breathe. I had to do a whole bunch of stuff. And as I was having that experience of what I'm asking myself, why are you so scared? Like, what are you afraid of? And I'm like, but that's a ghost. Like, what you mean that's a ghost? Wait, what you talking about? Like the Holy Ghost? Like, what are we talking about right now? So then I started thinking about, so I went ahead, I got up the courage to go. I'm so glad I did. One of them was singing. When I tell you she was singing, I'm talking about would take you to heaven. I'm talking about she was singing. But as I continued to reflect upon that, beyond being in the museum, I was like, so how is it that Christianity considers all other religions, faith practices, voodoo or black magic? I'm talking about Christianity in general. And then, but you got us on First Sunday drinking his blood, talking about Jesus, and eating his body. So how is that not some kind of black magic stuff? And then some of us have not taken the time to teach our parishioners about transubstantiation, right? Or consubstantiation. Like, what do you even believe about these elements? The body, the bread and the wine. Do you believe that they become the body of Jesus? Or do you believe that they are just elements that you ingest to evoke the body? Like, what do you even believe about it? We don't even have those conversations. So I'm like, how, girl, you bet. So I stopped taking communion because I said, do you even understand that you have put all of your trust in what they told you about this religion, but then you got your ancestors that you scared of because of what they told you about this religion? You're gonna have to get yourself together. And so that fear thing absolutely keeps us from getting to know more about ourselves, getting to know more about each other, getting to the point where we can have conversations where somebody says, I'm my own ancestor. Let's talk about that. Like, wow, you your own ancestor? And so I'm no longer scared of cemeteries. I no longer am. I will walk through them. I'll ride my bike through them. I'll stop at them. I'll point to them. I am no longer upset. And I'm no longer afraid of my ancestors, because in the house sometimes I really do hear somebody back there. They back there in their room. And I'll go in that room and say, listen, I am so glad that y'all are here. I love it when y'all companion me. I really do. But I was trying to do some work back here. I'm going to need y'all to keep it down. Just keep it down. Or I'll say, like, get me in on the conversation. Or I'll go in there and sit down. Like, what y'all talking about up in here? Like, I'm not afraid at all. Wait a minute. Lo said vampirism. What is you talking about? Vampirism. What? I don't know what you're talking about, Lo. Keith Harper said, I'm looking nice, doctor. I'm looking nice. Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And so, how do we learn to not be afraid? So to me, it's not about being afraid of the conversation. I don't think that that's what it's about. I think what it's about is, especially in the case of Mitchell Daniel, the case is, the conversation is about, what am I afraid will happen after the story? Like I'm not, he wasn't afraid to tell the story. He was talking about it. Remember, that's why he got in trouble, because he was talking too much. And so he wasn't afraid to talk about it, but he ended up dying. Like, his whole body was at risk. His life was at risk because he told the story. So I think that's probably where we have to have the conversation. Like, what are you afraid will happen? What do you not want to lose that keeps you from having the story, that keeps you from being honest, that keeps you from telling the whole truth and nothing but what is it that you're trying to hold on to that silences you? And so it may be your job, it may be your marriage, it may be your relationship with your children. Like, I don't know, but what is that? Oh, so Lo says vampirism. Oh, drinking the metaphoric blood. Oh, when I was talking about communion, for those of us who have been in the Christian church. Caller, you're live on the air, KABF. Thanks for calling. Okay, I need to call.
Real quick. And especially in America, I can't say about no other country. We start off at cheering. Still, it's two things that keep people out of, in my idea, trap. We got feel and we got give. You start off learning feel when you're a child. You know, I've been there many nights. I'm afraid of the dark and all these kinds of things. And that stuff stays with you if you don't work on it and recognize that brothers, all the different things in the Bible about the animal sacrifices, people sacrificing, trading the blood. I was raised in the church, but it was something in me that would allow me to accept that. That's cowbell for me. If you eat some flesh, human flesh, and you drinking their blood, you accountable in your own thinking. You don't even know what you're doing. And we take the children, and now you the sinner, you ain't no good. You ain't gonna never be good enough. Look how you pour that child to be. You know, you tell us you raise a child with that kind of attitude about itself. That stuff don't just go away like that. You know, you have to come to realize you is good. You know, and Greg, I thank you. I appreciate the show.
Thank you, Colin. Uh-huh. Yeah, I have friends who share that same sentiment that there was just something about the theology, the Christian theology, that they just could not grasp. That their bodies, their minds, their hearts, their souls, their spirits just would not allow them to receive this as their theology. I was not like that. I took it in hook, line, and sinker. I'm talking about listen. I was so holy that I was running around here talking about I got to protect my mouth gate, my ear gate, my eye gate. I was only listening to gospel music. I've been through a whole journey. And so that is something for us to consider. Like, we're teaching a whole generation of folks that you're nothing. And then perhaps that's why we don't have the real conversations we need to have in the world, because if somebody else treats you as nothing, you say, well, I guess I'm not, because Jesus will fix it. Like, you don't even know. So I feel like that kind of theology silences us for sure. And because I wanted to talk about that, about how forgiveness has been weaponized. And so we are quick to forgive somebody because we say that if we don't forgive them for the wrong, the harm, the trauma that they are causing, then God is not going to forgive us. Well, that is a ridiculous notion. So why wouldn't God forgive me for not forgiving you when you have intentionally caused me harm? But I got to forgive you in order for Jesus to love me? That's ridiculous. But we teach that. Why do we teach that? Some of the people, if you ask them the question, you don't know why. And it's interesting because in the very Bible that you use, it tells you to forgive everybody. The same one says you got to be ready to give a response for why you believe what you believe. You got to know why you believe it. You got to know what it means, because that's the only way that you can proselytize. That's the only way that you can convert others, is that you tell the story of what you believe about your Christ, your God, your Jesus, whoever this is, whatever name you use. And so they've wept. And so because we are so quick to forgive, we don't hold the other person accountable. And then this system of whiteness has used Christianity as absolution. So people can you can murder 1,500 people. But as long as you say, I believe in Jesus, before you die, heaven is your home. And then I cannot murder anybody, but if I have sex out of wedlock, I'm going to hell. Make that make sense. I'll wait. No, I won't wait, because I ain't got time to wait. We still got 15 more minutes in the show. Listen to, oh yeah, Lo says this all the time. Forgiveness is not for everybody. I'm not sure it's for anybody that you've intentionally harmed me, and I don't know, but I know that it's being used as a weapon. And so the verses, the principles in the Bible are being used as weapons to keep us silent, waiting on Jesus to come. Jesus, come. Caller, you're live on the air, KBF. Thanks for calling Community Voices.
I think people have forgiveness mixed up. You can ease your conscience of things like that. Forgiveness is a wiping away of some wrongdoing. You can't wipe nobody else's whatever they done away. The laws of the universe say you reap what you sow. I can say I forgive you all day long. It don't mean you don't have to pay a penalty for your action. And that's all I gotta say. If you forgive somebody, you think your forgiveness means something, then that means it's all right. I'll do it again or whatever. You don't have that kind of power to wipe away nobody else's life or what they do. That's not in our hands. Thank you.
Yeah, and so the caller says that we don't have the kind of power that we think we have, especially when we use that word forgiveness, as if we are really able to absolve the person from their wrong, and we are able to wipe their slate clean, to give them a new day, a new chance, new morning by morning, new mercies. That's interesting. We don't have that power. But and that's why I think people will say that forgiveness is for me. I'm not forgiving them for whatever they've done. I'm forgiving. I have to forgive them so that I won't harbor any ill feelings. I have to forgive them so that I can keep my own I can keep my own sanity. Like I can stay true to myself and my God. Like the forgiveness is for me. It's not for them. That's what I've heard plenty of people say. That it's for them. And I think that's how they would respond to you. Maybe, I don't know. Lo asks the question, did God forgive Cain? Did God forgive Lucifer? I don't, if I'm thinking about, I don't recall, let me just say it like that. I don't recall anywhere in the Bible where God forgave Cain. Let's just talk about Cain for a moment. In fact, not only does God not forgive Cain, he continues to bless him anyhow, because Cain gets this mark on his face because so Cain kills his brother Abel. The blood of Cain, his brother, is crying out to God from the ground. And then God has a conversation with Cain, like, where's your brother? Cain is like, am I my brother's keeper? And God is like, I know you don't, surely you know that I know what you've done. Surely you know what I've done. And so he's like, you got to get up out of here. And so Cain is like, no, no, no. If you make me leave, then everybody's gonna want to kill me. And God says, no, I'm gonna put this mark on your face and the mark on your head, wherever the mark is, it's on his head. He has a mark. And anybody who sees you with this mark knows that they better not touch you. Now that's what the story said. So Cain not only killed his brother, but then God preserved his life. So all this forgiveness stuff, I don't think we got it from God. I know we ain't get it from God. We got it from whoever wrote it, and whoever wrote it was not God. This Bible. I think that was the worst thing we ever could have done, was put the Bible in writing, to put our faith in writing. Because once you set it in stone in writing, people are unable to lift it up out of that. And even the Bible says, oh my goodness, the Bible says that the letter killeth. It is the spirit that gives life. And we just won't listen. We're more apt to listen to people who I don't want to say pretend to preach the gospel, but those of us who are preaching the gospel, we're on the same journey as you. We practicing our faith just like you. We listening to the Lord. Like, we are no different. We are no higher. We are no better. Our prayers don't go any further. Like, none of that. So why we choose to listen to the people that's in the pulpit rather than listen to the spirit that's within you, I don't know. And it's the people in the pulpit that's making you scared. Even though the Bible says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love, of a sound mind. A sound mind says that I can reason. A sound mind says I can make good decisions. A sound mind says that I can deal with reality and I know how to take the steps. I am a good decision maker. I have all of that inside of me. I ain't scared of nothing. So where does this fear come from? It comes from this book that somebody trying to interpret, rather than us saying, I know who I am, because I am in relationship with whoever I don't need you to tell me who I am. I already know. And when the caller talked about how we are poisoning the minds of our children, well, those are my words. The caller did not say that, but that's how I heard it. It was the Saturday before Resurrection Sunday. Some of y'all call it Easter. And that's so interesting to me. Y'all so holy, but you call Resurrection Sunday Easter. Now, how y'all okay, don't let me get started. So it was the Saturday before Resurrection Sunday, and they were having there was this group, this choir from Atlanta had come, and they were going to be in concert at this church. I want to say Macedonia Baptist Church on 6th Street. I don't know. I had never been. I got lost going out, and I don't know. But when I got there, and I was going in, you couldn't go in. They wouldn't let you in. You know how some churches, like, it's something happening inside and they don't want you to interrupt it. And so you can't go in until the usher opens the door for you. So whatever was going on, somebody was singing, or maybe they was praying. All I know is they were hollering. I couldn't make out any words. They were hollering. I'm talking about hollering. And the music was so loud, and the person who was playing the drums, oh my goodness, Jesus, Lord have mercy, it was so loud that I cut off my hearing aids. I have different channels that do different things for my hearing aids. They let me, sometimes I'm getting rid of the background, sometimes I'm bringing forth the foreground, sometimes I'm putting it so I can listen to the outside, and sometimes I just cut it off. I don't want no amplification because it is too loud in here already. So I cut my hearing aids off. People who are hearing, you cannot cut your ears off. So if it's loud, it's just loud. So as I'm standing there waiting on whatever we waiting on for them to open the door, this woman comes up with her son. He could not have been more than 5 years old. If so, he was only 6. He definitely was not 7 or 8. The baby, I'm calling him a baby. The baby, the child, this young king, he's got his hands over his ears. Now, I know it's loud to him because remember, I just cut off my hearing aids. So he cannot cut off his ears. He can't do anything but deal with the noise. But what I was trying to figure out is why his mama was standing there waiting on these doors to open to take her son in here to listen to this noise that's already bothering his ears. So what are you doing? You training him up to go to church no matter what? Like, even if it affects your body, even if you lose your hearing, at least you done lost it listening to Jesus. Like, what are we doing? We gotta start asking some real questions about our real practices that's having a real effect on our real lives and the lives of our children. I was so mad at her. I'm like, you gonna take the baby in anyhow? And that's exactly what she did. Bless the little baby. Bless the baby. Oh my goodness. So Lo says, how are you going to be buried on a Friday and risen on a Sunday? Is not 3 days, which is the lie being told. How are you going to be buried on Friday and then you are risen on Sunday? That's not 3 days, which is the lie being told. Yeah, you're talking about 3 days later from that passage of scripture where Jesus says, if you tear this building down, I'll raise it in 3 days. And so they carried that over and applied it to the crucifixion. So that's what Lo is making reference to. But you know what? It's a lot of stories in the Bible that make me just say, let's think about this for a minute. So when you talk about, so this is, Lo is talking about Sunday, Easter, what people call Easter. This will be Resurrection Sunday. And so as part of that path, as part of the path to get to crucifixion, right, Jesus goes into the Garden of Gethsemane, right? And he's in there and he's praying. He's basically praying, listen, Lord, if I ain't got to do this, if you can find somebody else to do it, please find somebody else. Because look, I know the call on my life. I know that me and you are aces. We ride or die. I understand all of that. But if there's a way that you can pass this cup to somebody else, please do it. So this is what Jesus is praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. How do I know that? How can I possibly know what Jesus was praying all by himself in the garden? Because the scripture says that the disciples were with him. But when he got closer to the garden, he told Peter, James, and John to come with him. And so everybody else was on the outside. Now he got just the three that we say were his favorite, whoever. There's some stuff people have made up. I'm just telling you the story. So these 3 come. But even those 3, when Jesus wants to go even further, he tells them to stay right there. He tells Peter, James, and John, them the only 3 that are with him, stay right there. I'm getting ready to go over here and pray. So they stay there. Jesus goes to pray. Jesus in the garden by himself. How I know what he was saying? How y'all done wrote down what the prayer was? Because Peter, not only are they not with him, when Jesus comes back to where they are, they sleep. Jesus like, y'all can't even stay awake. Like, what is happening? Do y'all know what's about to happen to me, right? Y'all know the story. I've been telling y'all that I'm going to die. Y'all know that, right? And y'all over here sleep. And so how could we possibly have the prayer printed in the Bible that Jesus prayed when he was all by himself in the garden? These are the shenanigans that we have to take a look at. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not mad about the story. I like the story, especially when Jesus is like, because I use it. I've preached it. We ain't woke yet. As a matter of fact, I just preached, last second Sunday. I preach every second Sunday. That's exactly was my topic, my title. You ain't woke yet? You still around here sleep? Jesus is saying, listen, it's work that needs to be done in this world that we live in. Like I said that I'm gonna go away and you're gonna do greater things than I did. So if you think I'm all of that, look at the work you should be doing, but you can't do it because you over here asleep. You're not paying attention. And so, yes, you can use the story. You can share it with somebody, but that don't mean you got to believe it hook, line, and sinker and say that this is exactly what I'm gonna pray the prayer Jesus prayed. It's not even, it's not even necessary for you to do that. So it's so many lies. It's so many lies. But that doesn't mean that the Bible is not helpful. I keep saying the Bible will work if you work it. But if all you're going to do is swallow it without thinking about it, then it does not serve you. Point blank, period. And so some of us are afraid to have the real conversations because we think that we're going to disappoint Jesus. We worried about what Jesus is going to say or what Jesus is going to do. And again, that's coming from the preaching, our teaching that's coming from mortal men and women and priests and rabbis and all of this. Like, I don't know if there's some lies in the Jewish Bible, but if they're using the same Bible that we using for the Old Testament, I would be like, I'm pretty sure some of y'all stuff messed up too. We've got to figure that out. So as Steffi and I were talking this morning, we were asking ourselves, how long do you think it would take for a person to say, I realize that I need to change. I want to change. I want help. I don't mind receiving help to change, but I don't know how. I don't know when. Like, I just need some guidance. How long do you think that process would take for them to finally get to the point where they are changed? No longer scared, no longer scared and afraid, same thing. No longer worried, no longer bothered by the ways of this world, understanding that we are God and we walk through this world as God. Like, how long would that take? And she was like, probably generations. And I'm like, generations? Steffi, don't say generations. Like, well, we can't wait no generations. We need change right now. We need change right now. So I don't want us to end up like Tevin Campbell in this song saying, but the next time, the next opportunity I get, then I'm going to do it. Then I'm going to take a step. Then I'm going to say the right word. No. You got to take advantage of every opportunity you get to examine yourself. Got to take advantage of every opportunity you get to share your story. Take advantage of every opportunity you get to hear somebody else's story. Take advantage of every opportunity you get to challenge the scripture, to challenge the sermon, to take up arms against these systems, the politicians. Like, every opportunity we get, we can't wait. And Dr. King wrote a whole book about why we can't wait. The time is now. Only way you're gonna stop being scared is to face it. People that scared of heights, what do they tell you? Go up on the highest building you can find. Face it, confront it, and watch yourself live through it. That's the peace. Watch yourself live through it. Thank y'all so much for listening to Community Voices right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. Your girl, I see somebody calling me, but I can't answer the phone right now. Your girl Lola is standing at the door right now, ready to give you 2 hours of Jazzy Tuesday. I'm talking about 2 hours of Jazzy Tuesday. You want to hear every bit of it, I'm telling you. So I'm going to get her started with the ladies. This is Jill Scott singing A Long Walk. I'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, I pulled up a little Jill Scott.
Did you?
You been doing good, girl.